Welcome to the Courageous Caribbean Woman podcast. I'm your host, Fralene. Join me in this interview with a fellow Caribbean woman as we motivate and inspire you to unleash your own courage. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Courageous Caribbean Woman podcast. Today I am joined by Chantaul Burgess, who is an occupational therapist. She's a lovely friend as well. I'm so happy to have her here with me and grateful that she took the time out to come and join me today.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Okay, you are most welcome. And usually I like to start these episodes with asking some of my favorite questions just so that we can get to know you a little bit. And so my first question is, would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert?
Definitely an introvert.
Definitely.
Yes, but in the right space, I could have some extroverted tendencies, but definitely introvert, most definitely.
Good. It's interesting that you say that because from the interviews that I've done so far, everybody said that they're introvert and they had that little bit to add in the end. Maybe it's an introverted thing to sort of have to like justify being an introvert a little bit, or just saying, oh no, I have social skills, which is fine. So that's cool. What do you enjoy doing in your downtime?
Well, I do like being in nature. As far as possible, I would do that, some outdoor activities. I like, honestly, just looking at social media sometimes.
Yeah.
Learning about different things, getting new ideas for different things that I might want to do, projects or whatnot.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. So. What is, like, if we were to look at your YouTube history, for instance, what's something we might find inside there?
A lot of gospel music and a lot of work-related things.
Okay, you mean related to
occupational
therapy?
Yes, related to occupational therapy. And a lot of motivational videos.
Okay.
Or sermons.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any siblings, and how many, if yes?
I do. I have 3 siblings, 1 sister and 2 brothers, 2 older brothers and 1 younger sister.
Good. Nice. And what is something that you would say, one thing, I know this might be a little hard to decide, but just one thing that you would say you like most about your job?
I like that I could help a wide variety of people with a range of issues. So it's very dynamic.
Good.
Yes.
I like that. And finally, if it is that you had the opportunity or the chance to go back to the future, go back to the past, and change something, or go to the future, or to be able to see your future, which one would you pick and why?
If I had to go to the past or choose to go to the future, well, maybe the future.
Yeah.
Everything happened for a reason, and everything that happened in the past is shaping the person who I am now and whatnot. So just forward ever, backward never, right? So yes,
right.
That's it.
Another popular response, by the way. So very interesting. Okay, good. So it's so great to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
And of course, I asked you to come on and join me today because I know part of your story. You are an occupational therapist, and this episode is more for people or individuals who might be in a place where they are unclear. They're not clear on exactly what it is that they want to do.
Okay.
And, sort of having to venture out into something that's new, because I know it was new for you, right?
Certainly.
Good. All right. So, occupational therapy. I'm not sure how many persons even know what that is. So, if you could just tell us, what is occupational therapy?
Okay. Well, occupational therapy is an allied health profession that basically helps persons, individuals from birth till end of life. So it works with individuals across the lifespan and with any disability or disease, basically to help with regaining function to do things that are meaningful to them or necessary within their life. So we work on developing skills of daily living. So these are what we call occupations. So every single thing that you do from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep would be an occupation, right? And then there are underlying skills that are needed to complete those occupations. And oftentimes, disability or disease will cause a loss of skills or cause individuals not to develop the skills necessary to do the things that they want and need to do. So we work with them to regain the skills towards doing the things that are meaningful to them. Yes.
Okay, makes sense. What kind of clients do you see?
I see predominantly children. Sometimes I would see adults, but mainly children. Oftentimes children who have autism or who may have other developmental issues.
Right, you mentioned autism, and actually my exposure to occupational therapy came as a result of, I spent some time working in a school with children with special needs. My class, they were all autistic, but there were some other students with different concerns as well. And I believe on Wednesday, so every week, an occupational therapist would come in, as well as a speech therapist, right? So at least we know, okay, autistic children see you, and you said sometimes adults.
Yes.
What is the issue that the adult had that would cause them to now need your service?
Right. Now, we work with individuals not only just with physical challenges, just to be clear, mental challenges as well, because sometimes the diagnosis, a mental issue, would impact how you function in your day.
Right.
So that piece is where we would support the person. For me, I would have seen persons who had strokes.
Okay.
And, one person I would support who has a spinal cord injury. Right? So those are physical. But I just had to make the statement about also working with persons with mentals. Right? So persons, of course, who had strokes or spinal cord injuries, of course, we see how their daily functioning will be impaired. Helping them with getting assistive devices or strengthening or just conditioning, different things like that. Yeah. So we would support with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And also helping them find these things that are meaningful that they could do now and build on it. Right? Because we are really based on purpose and meaning for people. Right? So that's what I will say for the adults.
Okay. I like that. I like that you said that you're based on purpose and meaning. So sort of ensuring that your clients could get back to a point where they are able to now engage in work that would, have them fulfill their purpose so that they could experience fulfillment.
Correct.
Right. Good. Lovely. So, how did you end up in this line of work?
Right. As with many, I did not know about occupational therapy.
Right.
It all started really when someone at church started speaking about persons with disabilities. Specifically, if I remember clearly, it would have been autism, right? So she works with children with autism and whatnot, in a different aspect, right? So I was intrigued and I started volunteering with her. She took me to volunteer and whatnot. And, it was really interesting to me. And I decided to volunteer somewhere else as well. And then some visiting students, they were doing practical at a school in Trinidad. They're from Toronto University. And I learned about occupational therapy there. And I was like, oh my goodness, no way. Okay, I know for sure. Like somehow I just knew for sure this was it. However, I'm getting there. I'm gonna get there, and this is it. I just knew it. And then there I decided, all right, yeah, I'm going to figure out how to get there. Didn't have any programs in Trinidad.
Right.
Actually, in the region,
Right.
for the level that we would need to practice
Right.
and whatnot. You have to go away. And my wonderful idea was, okay, so I know there's speech therapy here. And that's, maybe there's some kind of overlap. Maybe I could do speech therapy, start working, get enough money to go away and study. That was my master plan. So I decided I will go volunteer with a speech therapist. Lo and behold, there was an occupational therapist there. I didn't know she was going to be there.
Okay.
She was, she had so many similarities to me, including faith-based. Like,
Right.
she was a Seventh-day Adventist as well.
Okay.
And I thought that was mind-blowing because we don't have a lot.
Yeah.
And then we did not have as much as we have now.
Right.
And certainly not a Seventh-day Adventist. Because she lived away and she came down not too long before I met her.
Right.
And she mentored me. She's amazing and she was encouraging. And she also knew about the program that was upcoming in Trinidad at a Seventh-day Adventist University, which is very meaningful to me.
Right.
Actually my alma mater. So it's like, wow, comfortable space, everything. So I said, definitely the Lord aligned everything, most certainly. So I'm like, I don't know what to expect. It's a new program,
Right.
like brand new, fresh off the press. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but we all just decided, all right, we're going. Everything is going to work out, and it did. So that's how it started for me.
Good.
Yeah.
I really like that because, well, let me ask you this first. Did you, while you were growing up, did you have a sense of what it is you wanted to do?
I knew that I wanted to help people. I assumed that I wanted to get into medicine, maybe as a nurse, as a doctor.
What caused you to roll those things out, by the way?
Occupational therapy.
Well, okay,
Easily.
Once you
Yes.
got exposed to that.
Yes, it's like,
Okay.
no, this makes more sense to me.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Good.
So that's basically it.
The thing that I love about what it is that you're seeing is that, because sometimes I know when it is that we're not clear on what it is that we want to do, we might spend a lot of time trying to think, right? Trying to think about what to do and all of that. But you mentioned the fact that you volunteered.
Yes.
You were volunteering in an area. It was like, okay, this is cool. Like, you already know I want to help people in some kind of capacity.
Yeah.
And so you went out to volunteer, and then you met somebody, right? And you met the occupational therapist, and you got exposed to that. So it just goes to show that, it's in taking action that we gain clarity, right? Rather than just kind of sitting and thinking about things, right? Okay, good. So I want you to tell me a bit about what were some of the coping skills or strategies that you had in place as it relates to the fears or anxieties that would ever arise from entering this new occupation or this career path.
Okay. Well, entering the program, it being a new program, with everybody just really not knowing exactly how everything will go.
Right.
The togetherness, we had frequent meetings and just discussions, different things like that. So that was helpful, that community and everybody being on the same page. The other thing was just the experience before getting to that point at the program, seeing how everything was lined up toward me being in the program was also helpful. So the community and just knowing that this was definitely directed by the Lord, those two factors would have been helpful. And the other challenges with regards to finance or any other thing would have been alleviated because of that as well, those two factors, faith and community.
Good.
So
Excellent. Lovely. Love that. And yes, because I mean, faith and, well, I guess for some people, spirituality, depends on how you want to look at it, does come in quite a bit in terms of helping with giving courage or confidence in terms of decision making and going forward with something. And of course, community, because we don't exist by ourselves, right? So that certainly helps. Now, I know for me, when something that I would have observed while I was working at the school with the children, that the parents, some parents, dealt with, of course, overwhelm and stuff and guilt, right? Around their child having this issue. Now, what would you say to somebody who's listening who has a child where they would have they noticed maybe the child hasn't crossed certain milestones yet and they seem a little delayed and stuff? What advice would you give to that person, as well as if you could give a sense of what a session might look like, a first session and stuff like that?
Okay. The advice I'll give to parents who may see their child not achieving different milestones, if you see an issue, seek help. Don't just assume they will get over it, because that's quite often not the case. And even if they pass certain hurdles, then there will be future challenges. So just seek help, and you will be guided accordingly. And treat the children as children, providing the necessary love, care, support, discipline, and structure for them, so that they could continue to thrive, right? Whatever information that you get, or whatever suggestions that you get, advice and whatnot, guidance from the therapist or the professional, do it as best as you can. And even though it may feel difficult at the start, until you get used to it, making the changes and whatnot for the child, just persist through it. Just be consistent and just stick to it and push, right? Ensure that you also have support as far as possible, because it could be challenging on your own. Definitely get support, right? And talk about things. Don't just keep it to yourself, because there are other persons who would have had experiences that you could learn from, and that could just support you. So that's definitely what I'll advise.
Excellent. And in terms of session, what would that look like?
These sessions typically with children especially would look like play, because children learn through play, right? So we may start off, oftentimes I'll use visual schedules according to the level of the child. I may use pictures or just a written schedule. We'll map out what we're going to do for the session, and we will do the various activities towards achieving their goals, and then speak with the parents after on what happened in session and what they should do the next week, any challenges they had the week before, and just any other area they want to share. Right, so that's basically what the sessions will look like. Right? Yeah.
Good stuff. I like that you emphasized, and even before that, you were talking about how necessary it is for the parents to continue to give that love and care, and even asking for that support from others, as opposed to attempting to do it on their own, right? And the importance, going back to the point of the importance of even how community help you, and in that same way, community could help the parents as well.
Correct.
So that's pretty awesome. Now, in terms of now the OT program and stuff, if there's somebody considering, not necessarily the OT program, but they're thinking about going down a particular path that sure they have a little bit of exposure or knowledge, but they're not quite sure what to do and if to go down this path, what is some advice that you give to that person?
Okay. Definitely, I would say get as much experience as possible in the field, volunteering, or anything like that. And also find someone who you could have as a mentor, right? And ask questions as much as possible and see if it aligns with your values.
Right.
And if you enjoy it, most definitely.
Yeah.
And then you'll know, okay, this is for me.
Right.
Right? So volunteering for sure, and a mentor, somebody who could really pull you through, because that was my experience, right? And had it gone any other way, I think it would have been a lot more challenging.
Right.
Yeah. So
Good. So the something that came to my mind actually is, even I'm thinking now about how you decided to make that move to go down this path, right, after you got the exposure. Your willingness to take the risk then, right, or to go forward with that. How has that impacted the way that you face new things now in your life?
right. I think it is similar in that I'm able to see how I went through things before,
Right.
and I could apply it to the experience that I have to face,
Right.
and just take the risk or take the chance, knowing that I will make it through. So, that faith base is definitely one. And then also, persons are placed in your life at the right time just to support. So the community as well comes in there to face the different challenges that are coming. So same, faith and community, definitely two crucial areas to help with the challenges that I would face now, even in a career, because the field is very dynamic, and you will just continue to advance. You could continue to advance, and when you do, you will continue to stumble across areas where it is challenging for you.
Right.
So yeah, so you have to continue.
Like it's new. Maybe you didn't know.
New areas, new diagnosis that you may not have done before, and new caseload, even. That's like a big thing. New challenges that families face, and they come to you with everything, which is welcomed. You have to figure out how to help them and guide them through so that they could, face it. So this is,
That's so. I like that. So basically, the courage from that you would have exercised earlier on sort of provides evidence to you that, hey, I can face this new unfamiliar territory.
Correct.
Because I know I overcome something last time, and I'm able to do it again in the future. So that's excellent. So lovely talking with you, Chantal. But before we go, I want you to tell the people where they can find you, how they can connect with you.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, fullbloom.tw, and you can also contact me via email, fullbloom.tw@gmail.com, and phone number would be 316-1335. You can message on WhatsApp or call, but definitely message. Yeah.
Preferably. Okay. And where is your office?
And the office is located in Kirap.
So yes, thank you so much, Chantal, for joining us today.
Thanks again for having me. It was a pleasure. And it was a pleasure having you listen.
Yes. Great. So take care, everybody.
Yes.
Bye.